So I think I can start saying welcome to this Lemontree morning event that we are doing today together with our partner Micro Focus. And we're going to talk about end-to-end application security testing with Fortify. So I think we can just start to mentioning a few facts about Lemontree. So we were established in 1999, so we have been working with testing and automation for over 20 years now. And we are currently 40 consultants at Lemontree, doing both consultancy or project deliveries. And we have customers in Sweden and in Norway, and mostly in the telecom, banking, finance, public, energy, and industry. And we are a gold partner together with Micro Focus that we're doing this event with today. And I'm going to hand over to Jari, who can introduce himself and Micro Focus a bit more.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Name is Jari Salo-Kannel, and I'm talking about on behalf of Micro Focus this morning. And we are one of the biggest software companies in the world, one of the biggest in Europe. We have around 12,000 employees, and we are focused on developing and delivering and selling software solutions. So we are kind of infrastructure provider for our customers, which might be any kind of vertical industry or other software companies. So we do have different kind of predictive analytics solutions. We have the hybrid IT solution, and we do have DevOps solutions. And today we talk about my portfolio, which is around security, risk, and governance, and DevOps or DevSecOps especially. So other numbers to mention is that we have been there around since 1970s, and as said, we serve customers around the globe. Today I'm technical pre-sales, helping the customers in the Nordic countries, and with me I have a Silla, and Silla is the partner management for the Sweden. And if you have any questions, either of us will answer them immediately. You can leave them on the chat window, and we do have some time reserved at the end of the presentation to deep dive any questions if you wish. So today Fortify is a product family of ours, which is for application security. And why would anyone go in that area is an interesting topic. We have been talking about it a long time, and there are a couple things. Obviously, one of my favorite slides is about information is beautiful, gives you some context that which kind of breaches has been happening around the world. And obviously, if you think about these companies like Twitter, Facebook, Microsoft, I believe they have done what is in their power to prevent any of these things happening. So they do have the resources, they do have the knowledge, they do have the money to do all of these things, and still bad things do happen, and the information is leaking out to the hands of wrong people. So one of the issues obviously is that I'm talking about that historically many organizations, the end organizations, people managing the environment, are focused on how to make the infrastructure from the network and operating system level better. So this is the high level approach that you do have firewalls, perimeter firewalls, and the intranet firewalls limiting the access to different applications, and you assume that the perimeter firewall would keep the bad guys out, and only the guys you have identified from your access network would go through the applications and then accessing the information on the databases. But actually the thing is that as soon as you do open any port for legitimate access, there might be this person on left that can steal credentials from someone else's identity, and all that network connection is then open to the applications. And if the applications are working just fine, then this would be all right situation, and you would be in control who is doing what. But in the real life, there are always flaws in applications, and accessing applications will allow you to access all the data behind there and steal that in different ways. So what I'm talking about here is that obviously people have spent money on other kind of controls. They do have the infrastructure control on the network and firewall level, VPN connections and other things. They do have identity and access management in place where they try to control who is accessing what and where and when. And then the next level of going here up is obviously monitoring and protecting the application. And what are the challenges for making a better application control and testing in the many levels is obviously that we do have the modern structure of developing is the DevOps, and there it goes today that you are developing and releasing and testing the code all the time, many times per day, in the worst case scenario, so to speak, and then it's out of the human control what are the changes going on there and how they are tested. So because of these huge number of releases and there is also unknown components, some of the code used by organization is coming from the open source libraries, and you don't necessarily have any control or visibility there what's coming from those libraries on your production code. Though for those reasons, by our software security research team, we have found out that about 60 to 90% of different kind of applications have some kind of security issues. Some of these issues might be in the nature that you are not able to use them for breaches, but most of them are major or critical ones that you need to fix going forward. So couple reasons why people have obviously left the security house is that you need to have, if you try to do this with the tools that don't help you enough, or if you try to do this like manually, you need to have really expertise people around that want to do this kind of testing and they are really into this area. And even then it's kind of hard to keep track of all the possible scenarios that you need to be testing. And finding those security people for DevOps area is really hard. And also the developers themselves are paid for developing the code and they are paid for doing the functional testing. So they want to see the code out there and doing what is expected. So in the big picture, most of the developers I have met or discussed are saying that the security testing is kind of pain in the ass. It kind of delays what they are doing, and they kind of wish it going away, that they don't want to go there. The need for the testing is coming obviously so many reasons. The obvious easy one is bad coding practices. What you have learned to do, you keep doing until someone tells you that it needs to be fixed. There is obviously human errors happening every now and then, and then there is on-purpose errors. So some people, when we have the discussion, are saying that there are cases which are really eye-opening. One of the recent ones was there is this software developer who was making code for one of the credit card companies, and on purpose there was a testing backdoor left behind, and when he left the company he was using that later to steal credit card information and solve that. So it's all of those three first steps is something that company or business would like to mitigate. Then there is obviously IP protection. You have intellectual property in your company. You want to keep yourself. And then there are new compliance and legal and other reasons you want to comply with. And then there might be SLAs given to the end customers where you want to keep the application up and running all the time without interruption. And that's one of the reasons you want to keep testing it also for the security part. So I was telling you that it's a bit tricky. You need to have a special people to make this thing going on and happening and make your code more secure. And if there is an easy answer to all of this, it's also a big trick question. Yes, there is a really easy answer I'm going to introduce you, but also it is a door opener that you can go deep diving this area and develop your expertise as far as you want to. So there is tools available, and it's all about, at the end of the day, like many of these things, it's not only one single solution or product, it's also about integrating with your processes, and it's also about educating your people to use them correctly. So Fortify is the name of the product or product family that Micro Focus is making in this area. And we have a slogan saying that go find, fix, and fortify your applications, and we can give the end-to-end application security. So I have chosen a couple of these theme words in this area. And first I have chosen is enablement. Yes, the tool is good. It does find the things, and it also will educate you at the time of findings that how it needs to be fixed. At the same time, we are saying that you need to enable your code developers to make it a better code in the first place, that the obvious mistakes are avoided. Integration. You don't want to have a separate process for this kind of testing, so this solution must be, and obviously it can be easily integrated your existing environments. Automation, so it happens in the background both ways. The code will go to the testing, and the results will be automated back to the development environment or the developers, by the way. The testing is fast. There is a speed available. It can happen in few clicks. It will scale, and so on. So the portfolio we have here, and this is a bit busy slide. I kept the slide this way because later on, when you have the PDF copy of this presentation, you can go back into the details and to understand what I was talking about. There is a lot of acronyms here, and let me explain them in details. Here, first on this square on the left up, you have a word static, and there is a keyword SAST. So static code analyze is a thing that is done against the source code. You have a source code available. You will take our tool, what is called a static code analyzer, and it will go through the code line by line, and then doing some other testing, like tracking the variables usage and different models, and then it will tell you all the possible findings there. And that's one of the ways of doing, and that is most often requested when you are developing the code yourself, the static testing. Secondly, there is the other thing called DUST. It's dynamic testing, and dynamic testing is happening against a ready application, either the application that is quality assurance phase or application that's already running in the production. So the dynamic testing is behaving like a real life actual hacker would do. So it will try different methods of trying to break the code and break into the code. So it's not either SAST or DAST. They are complementary to each other. You should use the static code testing in the first place, because that is something called shift left, that earlier you do the testing, easier and cheaper it's to go and fix it. And the dynamic testing is obviously for two reasons. You don't have the source code available, or you also need to test the environment around your application. So it also does understand about something in the which is the place where the software is running and how it what is possible in that environment against the application. Then, as it says here on the left, those tools for SAST, static code analyzer, and web inspect for that, those tools are available on-prem. And when we say on-prem, we mean that the end customer is owning the license in some form factor, and the software is installed on the chosen device. It's something from a laptop to on-prem server, or a service provider data center, or even like Amazon Cloud or one of those places. So these tools with customer licenses installed on the chosen platform. The same functionality, same software is available from us as a service. Fortify on Demand is the name of the service, and there we have everything pre-installed and operated by us, including the manpower. So on-prem solution, you would install your own servers, you would operate themselves, or the partner or Lemontree would operate it for the customer. And Fortify on Demand solution, plenty of those tasks are handed over to us. And even there is a fine line. You can choose to do things yourself, or outsource to partner, or fully outsource to us. You can a little bit move the line how you want to do it. And also there is a combination. So this line can be moved. What we call is hybrid solution. You can do part of the testing on-prem and part of the testing as a service. For example, if you do the static code testing on-prem and you run out of the processing power, you can move the workload to our Fortify on Demand service, some of the workload if needed. Also, it goes in the way that if you do on-prem testing for your source code, you can ask the dynamic testing to be done from our Fortify on Demand service. So you can mix and match. Then one more thing I would like to take out of from here is a keyword just. We do see that there are some vendors touting out and selling only the just solution and saying that it can do everything. We don't believe that just the solution that can do everything. The just in our portfolio is included under the DAST as a sub-function. And then one final from here is MAST, and that is for mobile application testing. So in the big picture, mobile application testing means that you need to have the source code testing in the first place. Secondly, we do test the actual binary on Android or iOS device. And third thing is that we do test that mobile application also on the backend level, how the mobile application would behave with the backend. So all of those combinations are possible. Okay. As I said, that's a busy slide and I need a cup of coffee now. So on-prem solution, there is a single interface where you have the dashboards, you have the visualization, and you have a centralized reporting. So this dashboard or this management interface is meant for either for the humans or people who do kind of management or following how the processes are going. Also meant for if you have a dedicated person helping to start the scans and interpreting the results. And also this is the place where you publish and merge the results, and you do the automation and integration with other tools in your development environment. So this is highly recommended for monitoring the results and for integration purposes. It's not a mandatory component, but most people are using it. The same thing from our cloud service is the web portal interface for Fortify on demand, and it has the same functionality available. So this would be the integration point where you would send your code to, and this would be the integration point where you would see the results of the scans. And there are other integrations here, like open source panels, but I'll talk about that in a second. Then a little bit SAST capabilities. So SAST, as I said, source code scanning, usually integrated on the build server. So whenever there is a new code put on the build server, you can do the integration there, and you can launch, push or pull the security testing as you wish. Most larger environments, we are talking about testing once a day or during the night time or something like that. Usually scan will take tens of minutes, and we do have SLA. We can guarantee the throughput, and it can take hours, and this is usually when you have the really large software that you are scanning the first time and going through it. So that's a bit rare, but can happen. And as said, it's integration in a way that you don't have to even show for developers that this integration has been done and testing is happening. SAST is also a solution that can be integrated on your IDEs and other environments, so it can be fully local, and you can see the results locally, line by line. So as soon as something is found, it will tell you exactly the line, and it will give you explanation and recommendations specific to that language how to fix. We do support currently 27 languages with their frameworks, and when talking in details, we would like to know which languages you are using, and then we can check that we are actually supporting that language in the specific version, because this is something that lives by the time. People are changing the languages, and there is new ones coming. We have the capability to add new languages and versions as needed, but obviously there needs to be some kind of demand available. Oh yeah, list of the languages. I'm currently shipping on the latest versions and releases. Then also a couple of the tools for integration mentioned here. So for these tools, we mostly have ready-made different kind of integration packages, plugins, or something else. And if there is something else, we have the open integration framework that so far anything has been able to integrate there if needed. So there is no limitations as far as I'm aware of. And the integration also goes two ways. So it's about integrating from your development environment for the testing, and then the testing results are coming back, for example, your ticketing system. So at the end of the day, you don't have to tell the developers that there is a specific security related thing that needs to be fixed. It can be like a normal feature request in the system that needs to be handled under some way. And there is obviously, as I showed you, the dashboards and other things, there is a control that you can pick and choose how you are showing the results for different people and scenarios. There are things that are more of the online type, audit assistant, for example, as an example of our technology. So there is machine learning embedded here. It has been a really long time, even before everyone's talking about artificial intelligence and machine learning. We already had our own technology there behind in the Fortify solution, helping to understand how the code is inspected and what is the delta code inspected, what we need to fix and find. And then there are like audit workbench giving you easy, visible solutions that, for example, the risk management level, that which are the first things you need to go and fix and do. And then finally, here is the acronym that used twice. So I already, in the first slides, I told we have a SCA where we are talking about our product, which is doing the static code analysis. Then the market decided later that they have something called software composition analysis, and they are using the same acronym as we are in other places. So it's same acronym here in the presentation in two places, meaning two different things. But this is the most widely known currently because of the market situation, and this means that you are using open source components in your part of your development. We do have integration in the Fortify tool for different open source analysis. We are most closely working with Sonatype, and for example, it will report you any known vulnerabilities in the models you are using, and also it will report you all the license details of the open source components you have been using. And this is fully integrated both our on-prem and on the cloud solution. So it's a tick in the box if you want to use. Most people do nowadays, and then you will have an integrated report and results of the open source components on your development. So highly recommended. And then some details about the dynamic testing. And dynamic testing, as said, it's about it's testing the application in production or complied application, so to speak. And the latest development we are bringing up here is that we have lately put a lot of effort, for example, SPA, single page applications, how to test those and deliver the results. And then we are nowadays also have a lot of development about the different kind of APIs, how they are tested in this environment. Because historically, this kind of testing was like crawling on the web pages and seeing how they are behaving and how the application is behaving when some kind of different inputs are given. But it's heavy development under this component in the last 2 years. And once again, this is complement to SAST, so this doesn't depend of language used, and this is explained in details in this slide. I'm not going to explain them now. And then lastly, any of these needs for using these tools is about that automation must be in place. Some years ago, there was still a discussion that if there is a consulting company that you would do the testing manually using the human resources. But as told in the beginning, the scale of the releases nowadays is so huge that you have to have an automation in place to get the speedy results. Then going a little bit in details, and the point here on these ones are that we have a unified environment to do the testing in different areas. So we are not limited to single kind of testing on single kind of environment. We do the dynamic, we do the static testing, we do them hybrid or on-prem or in the cloud, and all the results can be combined. And we do a lot of research for ourselves, and then we do have the cooperation with some other companies. We are the big contributor, for example, OWASP, and obviously all the OWASP and PCI and other reporting functions are included on our solution. Are we any good on this business? And there is a couple of things. So vested, for example, mentioned by the OWASP, we do have a really good coverage. We do have most of the vulnerability categories available, and this is public information. Vulnerability categories can be found on our public website. Currently 27 languages and over 1 million application APIs covered today in details. And we have been a trusted leader in this area last decade, over 10 years now. We do have the broadest language and framework coverage, which doesn't mean that we do cover each and every language. There might be some that we cannot or will not, or rather. And we do have the flexibility as told. I think it's good to know that we have really large customers, and on the right hand side you have some logos telling that there are some companies doing testing with our solution or reselling our solution, but on the left hand side we do have a little bit more of the hidden customers. We cannot tell them in details, but to give you some understanding that 9 out of the 10 largest information technology companies are using our solution. Think about those, who are the big ones. And then, for example, they are in the down, 3 out of the 3 large independent software vendors is using our solution. So most of the days or any days you are using any kind of technology, it's most likely that has been tested by the Fortify. And for those reasons, we are serving really for large customers. Our Fortify on demand solution is really scalable. It can take a huge workload when needed. We have a dedicated data centers for the purpose. And just one of the use cases we wanted to show you here is that we are drinking our own champagne. So all the software development that the Micro Focus is doing, and currently, for example, last year we delivered around 500 new major versions of our software that we are making and selling. So we are testing with Fortify over 20 million lines of code every day. And that's a relatively large number, I guess, for anyone. So summarizing: integration, automation, agility, and I would add here enablement for the people. Now, if we have lines open, we could take some questions around the topic. If there is any more details, I would need to tell you for the audience. Isabel, do we have lines open, or can you see chat windows?
Yeah, we have the lines open. It can take a few seconds for them to publish, so let's wait a little bit.
Yeah. And obviously, I do understand people are thinking about the questions, and some of the questions might be related a specific use case you don't want to go public here today. So yes, we are available to talk about these in details later, either face-to-face on Teams or by email. So you can come back to the Lemontree later.
Yeah, Jari, I have a question.
Yes, please.
You talk about Fortify on demand and how easy it is to start and do that. How do the licenses model look like in that area? Could you just
Great.
It short?
Great question, actually, and this is something I should have talked about a little bit more in details. But the thing is that that's most common. Our new customers will start working is with Fortify on demand because they don't have to do any pre-investment to hardware or people or any other part, because our partner and we will do all the necessary work, and all the things are pre-installed in our cloud. And start using Fortify on demand can happen like tomorrow. Obviously, I understand there is some delay in ordering process if you place the order and it has to be processed. But assuming you will place order today and you will get the license tomorrow, it can happen, start immediately. And the price for Fortify on demand is built in the way that we are selling kind of vouchers, which we call assessment units. And price for one assessment units, the list price for me in euros is about 850 euros. And if you do one application scanning one time and simple scan, no human interaction, that will cost one assessment unit. The recommendation is, and most people will start the proof of concept with the static plus, where we do have a human removing the false positives and negatives and other things. And the cost of that is 2 assessment units. So we are talking about the list price of 1,700 euros. If you, and then finally, if you would like to keep scanning that same application unlimited times per year, we are talking about 4 assessment units. We are talking about list price of less than 5,000 euros.
And the great thing with this licenses model is also that you can choose if you, with assessment units, if you should do static scanning, DOS scanning, mobile scanning. There is a list how many assessment units each cost, and it's the same unit that you purchase. So during the time that you want to scan and the time that you work with this Fortify or this the solutions, you can choose whatsoever, and that is quite great. Easy to purchase, easy to kick off and start with it, and you of course get the benefits that you at least know where your vulnerability is and can start to work with it.
Yeah, and as I said, there are some customers that they are testing only the major releases before going out with the release 2, release 3, or something like that. And then there are customers who are testing every night all the possible changes in the code. and that's all at the end of the day. It's about the discussion that what is your risk management and how would you like to test and what you would like to test and when you would like to test and this is the thing. And yeah, so as Silla was saying that it's quite common that you would go and buy, for example, 30 assessment units, and then you can pick and choose yourself how you are using those, which applications you are testing, and how deep testing you are doing. So it's a pick and choose model.
And Jari and I will also normally say that by 2030 to start with, after some months, when you have kick off everything and see the possibility to do more scans and new applications, buy another ones. But it's a good way to do it in small portions.
Yeah. That's how it goes.
Okay, Isabel, do we have any questions or somebody that dare to say something?
No, the question that we got was actually about the pricing, and I think that you covered parts of it. If there's nothing else that you would like to add about the pricing.
I can briefly tell the other question. Some people are always asking that what if you would like to do everything on premises, and there the pricing model on premises is based either or number of applications or number of contributing developers. So we have flexibility there to discuss which is the best approach, because each and every company developing software, they do have they might have just one huge software that they are developing. Then the number of applications is kind of one, but they have a lot of contributing developers. So then the one license model is good for that purpose. And then there might be a way that you only have a relatively few number of developers, but you are releasing 10, 15 different kind of software every year. So we are happy to discuss that in details, but that's the question we will ask about. And usually some indication for on-premise, we are talking about a low number of tens of thousands of euros as a starting point.
I have also another question, Jari. I don't know if you want it, but I dare to say it. When we do Fortify on demand, what about the data that the customer have? Do we need to have the data on our data center, or how does could you explain a little bit short how that works?
Yeah, so we do not take any data. We are only scanning. In the case of the static scanning, we are only scanning the source code with no data. And actually, there is a couple of things to understand. For example, when we take the source code, our people don't directly see the source code. We do translate the source code from any language to our intermediate language that we do the testing against. And also all our data centers for this purpose are audited. And they are dedicated for the purpose. So there is a documentation available that how the companies are doing that. But we don't, for example, we don't have to comply with GDPR because we don't see any customer data here.
Good, thanks. But because that is some of the question always that popping up, how secured are it and so on.
Yeah, they are really secure, and there are. Obviously, there are always customers, like some countries, there is a government organizations saying that the source code, for example, cannot leave the country. And in those scenarios, we most often have like a local partner running in their data center.
Some other question that we're popping up that we can normally get, or do you think we have covered a lot of them? There is a very detailed service delivery around Fortify on demand, how it works and things like that. And we have done Fortify on demand for many years now. So
we're not
Okay.
getting any more questions in here. I just want to add to what you're saying, that if anyone has any more questions, you can always contact us at Lemontree. And if you want to discuss the pricing more, or if you want to see more of it, we can set something up.
Yeah, and there are some great places. And for example, I would say Fortify Unplugged on YouTube is one of the good sources of information. We have short, detailed videos about of specific topics there. So have a look if you're interested.
And of course, we have a Fortify community where you can put your question, management, chat with other about your experience and things like that. That is a really good place to also to look into the solutions.
Yep, yeah. And also, should we mention here that we have a new guy on board in Sweden?
Okay. Yeah, we have a new guy in Sweden that is a sales rep for these areas, or he covers Nordics actually. So perhaps you will we have a chat with him in the future.
Yeah,
And
later,
I will also
yes.
Yeah, exactly. And I will also add to that the 22nd to 23rd of March, we have our big event, Micro Focus Universe, I will say right now, that we do virtual, of course, nowadays. But it's for free, and you can go in and look to all the solutions that Micro Focus have in the portfolio. And there is roadmap session about Fortify, various hands-on things around this area. So that is something to also look for. So Micro Focus Universe, 22nd to 23rd of March. Okay.
Okay, thank you. And the Lemontree morning events keep going too, as well.
That's good.
Okay. So thank you everyone for attending, and I hope to get in contact with you soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.